यस सर, मैंने स्टार्ट कर दिया है।
Okay, thank you. A very good afternoon to all the learners. After a long break due to some technical issues, we are coming back to this regular online counseling session for postgraduate diploma in sustainability science. I welcome you all again. And today we have with us Ms. Archi Sehgal, one of our alumnus of postgraduate diploma in sustainability science, who has performed very well during her study as a student of postgraduate diploma in sustainability science. Currently, she is working at Wildlife Institute of India as a scientific assistant. She got her master from Amity University. With this brief introduction, I welcome you, our alumnus. Now, one of our counselor, Miss Archi, hand over to you, Archi.
Thank you, sir. Now we should start the session. So basically, our topic is forest for us. So first, let us understand. Sorry. Okay. So first, let us understand what is a forest. When we talk about forest in India, like this much cover, currently we are having 25% of our geographical area under forest. And when we talk about indigenous knowledge system, forest people, and all those things, so it is very important to understand what is a forest in terms of according to our legal system. So basically, when we talk about forest in India, we consider any area which is more than 1 hectare and having a tree canopy more than 10%. That area we say it is a forest. Irrespective of any land use, irrespective of legal status, or irrespective of ownership. So it doesn't matter that what type of legal status, what type of land use it is there. We considered, okay, this much is our forest cover of India. One of the important thing, and according to Forest Department, we focus on recorded forest areas. So recorded forest areas, this comes under the Forest Act 1927. Any area which is recorded under Forest Act 1927, we considered as the forest land. So it could be an area of wasteland which does not have a forest. That will also be considered as a forest land. So in 1920s, during the Britishers' time, we are focused, basically it is divided into two major topics, that is reserve forest and protected forest. In Britishers' time, they actually came out with this term. So basically, this reserve forest is very important for them because it is a prime source of their timber, for their economic value. They do not let the locals to cut down trees. They do not let people to use that area. So till now we are following this system, and we consider this recorded forest area, and we considered only those forests under the Forest Department which has been under this forest recorded areas or under this act. So when you see this figure, you will understand there could be areas which is recorded but does not have any forest, or there could be a forest cover which is outside the forest area. So there is a lot of overlapping and terminology issues when we talk about the forest cover and forest in India. Apart from this, it is important to know that today, according to FSI, we have 25% of our geographical area under the forest. Okay, and we are aiming to make it as a 33% of our total geographical area. So now let's come to our one of the types of forest. So basically there are two types of forest, which is primary and secondary forest. So in primary forest, basically they are the intact forest, which we call also virgin forest. Their geology has not been changed. There is no intervention by humans for economic benefit, and there is no kind of intervention. We have kept the ecological integrity. Okay, they are of quite important because of their uh, CO2, they withhold CO2, and also they have a high gene pool. Similarly, we have secondary forest. These secondary forest has been either we have raised to reduce the impact of logging or any that local people use. We have to divert people from the primary forest, which we have raised for our recreational value or just for the locals, so that they can divert from primary forest, and so that these primary forests can be in their integrity form. Now, how we are connected with forest? Even those who doesn't go to national parks, who doesn't like, for example, if me, I was born in Delhi, born in bottom, and I belong to different subject. So I have never linked with forest and all those things, but still I am being connected with these forests, this biodiversity, because every resource I use has been originated from forest, like our fossil fuel, our this table, chair, our breakfast, and most important thing that every person use is water. There has been a lot of experiment to create water in lab because it is made up of only two molecules, hydrogen and oxygen. But the scientists are also not being able to create those things in lab, which a nature create, which a forest create. So we all are very much interconnected. Even though we visit forest, we visit these recreational sites or not, we are very much interconnected. So as you see that 750 million people live in a forest, we are losing this forest till now. From 1990 to 2020, we have lost almost 178 million hectare of forest land. So, which is a great cause of concern. And apart from this, are the three most important things that forests do is first is the carbon storage. You see, the forest soil is the have a greater percentage of CO2 absorption. Then this tree cover, forest cover, different type of forest, boreal forest, temperate forest, all have different capacity of carbon storage, right? Then the second most important thing is they control the natural disaster. Like we see lots of landslides issues in Himalayan state, in northeastern states. So this is the cause of concern because due to lot of construction activities, we are just making roads, which is also necessary, but we are not doing that at sustainable level, because of which the, the capacity of to withhold soil and the soil to withhold water is losing, and that's why this natural disasters are is also impacting human livelihood directly or indirectly. Similarly, mangroves are also very important for the people who lives in coastal area. They understand that how mangroves act as a buffer for flooding, right? Also, mangroves are also not only like providing a barrier to natural disaster, but they're also providing livelihood. Similarly, I have kept as one of the important example of forest is the providing clean water. As you know, only 3% of clean water left on earth, and this 3% is almost majorly stored in this glaciers, right? Lakes, majorly stored in a glacier in a snow form. So, so this, as I told, that water cannot be made in labs. If it made, it is very dangerous. If you see that the hydrogen and oxygen are very combustible, molecules. So it's very dangerous to pollute. So conserving forest and recognizing it's important, very much necessary before we reach to a level where we left with very small amount of this resources. As I am a student of wildlife, I would like to quote an example that if human can make like tools or make methods to use resources, then I'm sure that humans can also make methods to conserve these resources, to utilize these resources. For example, like we as a human, as an Indian also, are this tiger population is, it is said that the 80% of tiger population is in India. Okay, of the total world population. And there was a time when the tiger was kept on poaching, and there was a time when their population was less than 1,000. But today, because of our collective action, we have reached to a level of 3,000. Today, the tiger population is 3,000. So when we recognize that something is important, then we take action. When we see that the something is like going, is about to extend, then we take action. But my concern is that we should take action before making that resource to that level. So moving on to next point. In forest, there are some terms we use. There are ecosystem people. These ecosystem people are the people which we say who are directly dependent on forest resources, who are living within the resources, within the forest. Okay, such as maybe in previous chapter you have learned about indigenous people, how their livelihood is connected, how they run their days, they utilize the resource, like using the cooking fuel they get from the forest, the dry leaves, the dry birds, all those. So these are the ecosystem people. And we are the biosphere people. We are indirectly dependent on these resources, what these ecosystem people bring to us. Like we use fossil fuel, we use whatever they produce. We are indirectly using these resources. In this also we have conventional conservation theory. In conventional conservation theory, we focus that it is like a Western theory. We say that the people are not important. When we have to do some conservation activity, then we don't have to involve the humans. We have to totally eradicate from that area. Then there will be a better conservation. But this thought has been proved wrong with the coming days, with the coming experimental scientific study. And now there are being areas which say that the bottom-up conservation, which say that without the help of locals, there will be no ecosystem conservation. Means there will be no protection, no good protection to wildlife, good protection to forest. And looking at this, I have got one important example of sacred groups. So most of you know, like what is a sacred groups? These sacred groups are the areas which may be smaller areas, which may be areas of 200 hectare. So these are the areas which the people of particular culture, of particular tribe have some religious value to that place, to that forest, or to that patch of land. They have some cultural, some religious value. And in India, as we know that when we connect with the religious value, then we try to protect those areas, those species more attentively as compared to other. So the sacred groves has been spread throughout the India. As you can see that it is present in Himalayan belt, is present in central belt, and it is present in southern belt. especially in Western Ghats also. These sacred groves are of great importance. They have a diverse gene pool. They have a uh, historical, uh, historical link, historical history. They kept as a like a virgin. And also in sacred groves, there are different types. Some consider that in sacred grove the resources should be used. Some consider that resources should not be used at all. Uh, like like I have quoted three different stories of sacred groves, where is one from near Shimla in Himachal Pradesh. So these sacred groves usually have devtas. Because I have mostly worked in Himachal, so I have also seen that they do not allow mostly the outside people to they can go to that area, but they cannot go to that temple actually. So they are very particular about that we should not cut trees. They have kept those forests very intact. So this is one of the example of Shitan. It is 12 kilometer from Shimla, where they have Deodar groups. And these Deodar groups is more than 100-year-old. Such group, and these has been protected by a particular tribe in Himachal Pradesh. Similarly, from Uttarakhand, I have taken one example. So in Uttarakhand, they say Bugyal or Dio Valley. In what is like every sacred groups have some value. Some in this they have carried in Uttarakhand one. They have carried one example of water supply. They have checked that what is the quality of water in this sacred group as compared to nearby area. And it was astonishing that they found that the standard of this water sample is equal or match the standard of WHO. So you see that due to the collective action of people and their religious value, the resources can be protected. The resources can be saved from our interventions. Similarly, we see that in Rajasthan there has been a lot of issue of water. I have taken one example from Jhalwar city, and there is a one village. So in that they have been protected one patch of green forest, so which help them to provide water throughout the year. And if people have not raised this concern, this nuisance thought, then they might have been facing this issue in all of these areas. And it has been also said all have must know about the sacred group values. So in that, what is more important is understanding that every tribe their their religious value. In when we talk about in Northeast, we found that in in Khaso Hills, Hills, what they say is every village is having one or two sacred groups. Every tribe is protecting one or two sacred groups. And I think because of their action today, we see that lot of being covered in these belts also, because they don't want that these forests should be bent down. They fight against the system. They fight against the actions of
If we are doing some purchase for MHP 100, it should go into that project development lab process.
Development.
So let's go to next slide.
Development then MHP.
What are the threats to these sacred books? So as we know, because most of the people have been moved out of these forests, so there has been change of their religious value. They have been traditional value. These values has been under erosion. So they like younger generation, they don't feel as much connected as are to this natural system, to this forest, as our grandparents or great grandparents do. They understand the value of each thing. Also, the economic value with the expansion of the income sources. We shift we we shift to the better places. We shift to the areas, and we cut down with this the connection of the forest. So these kind of are one of the threats that making the sacred grove under erosion. Also with the development projects by ministries, they are and relocation, they are also one of the example. So such example I have taken. um, Also, when we don't understand the management value, so what happened in one of the sacred groves of Maharashtra, the forest department has started this planting technique. So plantation of different acacia. So what happened is in that patch of sacred grove, the original uh, tree cover or the original vegetation has been removed, and it has been replaced by different vegetation. So what they found with the coming years, they found that the stream which was flowing from that sacred grove has has been drying up. The agriculture surrounding that area has been like the output has been falling down. So before interventioning into these places or the forestry, we should understand the system. What is the how the ecological integrity, how this has been done. Now, sacred grove is one of the example where the local people protect themselves. In case similarly, how the government is helping to protect this or to raise forest is through one program which is called Joint Forest Management. This Joint Forest Management came in 1998. So basically, it started in West Bengal, where a person called Ajit Banerjee, he was a silviculturist. So he was working with the forest department because, as you know, it was in 90s. So in 1950s to before that, the Britishers were ruling, and Britishers does not want their forest to be utilized by local people, and that's why they have keep those forests as a reserve forest. So forest department see local people as a thieves of their resources, as a thief of their economic output, timber and etc. So when Ajit Banerjee understood that we should do one experiment of involving he did experiment of 600 family. He has involved, and he has tried to raise the sal patch, and also make them involved in different fire protection activities. He found that the output is really great. The income source is being high up, and they have also divided the share with the villagers. So what is this experiment is basically is to use this local people in protection of this forest, and also in raising the forest. Okay, and that's why in both the parties will be benefited. The forest department will also benefit, and the local people will also be benefited by raising their alternative income sources. So like this, based on the national policy has been came out in 1990 on this JFM. Further, there are many states. Further, there are been many states who has adopted this JFM, such as Haryana, Gujarat, Maharashtra. Today, more than 20 states has been practicing this joint forest management. But there has been one concern. So first of all, let us see one example. This is the same example I have quoted from West Bengal, and I have also said that this practice has been done earlier when the forest department was not there, but officially it has come with the name of JFM after the 1980s. So what is the benefit of JFM? So JFM is basically help in regeneration of forest. It helps in creating the alternate income sources. It helps in creating the comeback of wildlife. When we talk about in Odisha or in West Bengal, we have witnesses that their elephant using that forest patches again. Earlier they have been not been there, but with the raising of forest, with the joint work, the wildlife is also again regenerating. Also, now let us talk about the loopholes of this JFM. First is the gender. It has been mentioned that there was no mention of gender equity. That as you see that lot of work has been done by women in villages or who are living in villages, like collection of cooking fuel, dry woods, and then taking their livestock to territorial areas in forest. So in JFM, they have not been considered this issue. Also in JFM, one of the loophole is they have not considered the subgroup wise what are their needs. Like every village will be having their different need based on the areas. So this JFM has not been deeply looked into it. So after this, there has been community participation to in micro planning in different uh, alternatives, which I will discuss in on 3rd April. Apart from this, these loopholes which I have mentioned is how authorities sometimes lack in managing the biodiversity or the forest. Sometimes the administrator does not have a proper information about their resources, what he can do in that area, right? How he can, how he does not have a proper decision making. He does not have a proper people uh, who can implement his action. If he take action, there has been maybe corruptions or maybe loophole in the system who does not want to implement those policies. So it can be achieved when we will be like working locally at the bottom up approach, and it can be achieved when we have a proper decision making in forest conservation and in natural resource conservation. Of course, when we apply this JFM at the better level, with the gender equity, considering gender equity, and also making micro planning with proper discussions, so we can, like this we can make the natural resource management more effectively. So with this, I think I come up to finish up my lecture, which is, I think, very fast. But if you have any question, you can just ask me.